one of the phrases in the Apostles' Creed says that Jesus, when he died, descended into hell. What does that mean? That he descended into hell. Some translations of the Apostles' Creed actually insert the word Hades instead of hell, that he descended into Hades. Are Hades and hell the very same thing? I don't believe so. Let me read a story to you that Jesus told his disciples and the crowds around him. He says, there was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died. No one expected that. And the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died. No one expected that, and was buried. In hell, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire. But Abraham replied, Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. And beside all of this, between us and you a great chasm has been fixed, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from here to us. And again the rich man began to beg Abraham, Send Lazarus to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment. Well, it's a pretty graphic picture. Some like to say that's a parable that Jesus was telling, but it's not. It's an actual story. There was an actual rich man, and there was an actual beggar. In fact, he names the beggar as Lazarus. And they both died. One went to heaven, one went to hell. At least that's what the story appears to tell us. But a great gulf, a chasm, was fixed between them. They could look over and see, but they could not cross over. Abraham could see the rich man. The rich man could see Lazarus. Lazarus could see the rich man, and the torment was obvious. When we recite the Apostles' Creed, we say that Jesus, when he died, descended into hell. The real meaning of that word, the real meaning of the Apostles' Creed and the doctrinal statements of the early church was that this place that we read about, this place called paradise, has 2 sides to it. On one side is paradise. On the other side is Hades. The whole thing is the holding pattern for all of the Old Testament saints who died before, because heaven was not yet opened. The only way heaven could be opened was for the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ to be completed. That's why when Jesus rose from the dead, the Bible tells us that the graves were opened. And those who were in the graves went into the holy city and testified. Now, some have concluded that those were the graves in Jerusalem, that people actually went in, were raised from the dead in the graves surrounding Jerusalem, and that they went into the city and testified of the resurrection. But see, after Jesus dies and is raised from the dead, the old is done away with. We now enter into the new that was promised in the old. And so the holy city referred to here is heaven. That's the new Jerusalem. That's the heaven that is coming. That is the city of God that is coming down from heaven to receive us one day. So heaven is opened to all of those Old Testament saints who died, all of those Old Testament believers who died, all of those Old Testament unbelievers who died were sent to one of these 2 places. They were sent to Hades or hell or paradise. That is where the great gulf separated the two of them. So when Jesus died, he goes into Hades. He goes into that place. He stands in that chasm, and he releases the prisoners that were taken there. He releases those who were unbelievers to be cast into hell. He releases those who were in paradise to be received into heaven. Now we know that because he said that to the thief on the cross. On the cross, he told the thief, "This day you will be with me in paradise." Well, that thief only had to wait 3 days before paradise was unlocked. We are told in Jude and 2 Peter that Jesus went to preach the gospel to those who were the spirits taken in the day of Noah. That's post-flood. That's the Old Testament era. He went to proclaim the good news that salvation has come. When Jesus was raised from the dead, the graves are opened. There is an ascension that takes place. There is a reception into glory that takes place. And so when we say he descended into hell, we mean that he took upon himself our hell. He paid the price of an equivalent of an eternity in hell for us. And where he went when he died was to preach that gospel to those who were waiting for that full and complete access to eternal glory. I know it's confusing. I hope this helps. I hope it actually precipitates more questions for you, because we truly do want to know that there is an eternal heaven to be gained, eternal hell to be shunned.